Good? Well, good evening, Throttle Up Biker Bible Study. How we doing tonight? Man, isn't it a pretty day out there? A little chilly, but still. Good day. Good day. It's going to be nice tomorrow. And rain Friday and Saturday. I'm not trying to provoke it. I'm just saying that's what they said on the news. Yeah. That's right. Sabrina, didn't get an answer from you on Friday night. You going to be there? Okay. All right. So here we are. Once again, nice crowd tonight. This is going to be fun. Studying the book of Numbers. Numbers, right? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers. Book 4 of Moses. And what we have found so far is kind of interesting, right? We talked about the numbers of the men 20 and up in all of the tribes, except Levi. And Levi counted every male 1 month and up for a reason. We'll get into more of that later. But last week I showed you that little diagram of how the tribes actually laid out and how it makes a cross. And I thought that was pretty cool when I saw that. Also, that the numbers of the Judah tribe were the highest numbers, and that's the base of the cross. You look at a cross, what's the biggest piece? The base of it, the one at the bottom, right? And we started talking about Levi. The tribe of Levi doesn't get counted in the warriors because their job was to protect, set up, and tear down the tabernacle every time it moved. And they marched in the middle of the pack. And I said, when you look at the way it's all laid out, Levi's are in the middle. That's just like Jesus is the heart of the cross, right? That's where they are. And we've kind of danced around a lot of different things, and tonight's going to be no different. There's some interesting things that we're going to talk about tonight. We're actually veering away from the counting of people for a change. Yeah. But we'll get back to it. And by the time we get to chapter 21 of Numbers, we count in a different way. Not in a different language. Eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben. No, I'm talking about, we'll talk about which particular men of the Levi tribe, instead of being a month old, it's between 30 and 50, but they go to school starting at 25. And things like that. But tonight, we're going to talk about something that people have been confused about a lot over the years. If I ask you where Jesus was from, where was he from? Nazareth. So they call him the Nazarene. Okay? Tonight, we're going to talk about the Nazarite law. Has nothing to do with Nazareth. Okay? But a lot of people think, oh, that's just because they're from the... No, it has nothing to do with it. The two things could not be farther apart. Okay? The Nazarite law is a very specific thing for people who wanted to be like the Levites. And when you hear what it actually is, you're going to go, is that why you look like you do? No. But it's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. So let me open us up with a word of prayer, and we shall get started with this. Heavenly Father, Lord God, again, we thank you for this place that you've given us. Lord, I thank you for these hearts that are here. Lord, clear their minds, open their hearts to hear the words that you had written so long ago, the things you told Moses to write down. Father, we love learning the stories and the history of your people, of the Israelites, as they wandered through the desert, still making mistakes, but learning all the way. And we can look back at these stories now and we can see the mistakes and the things we should watch out for now. Father, I ask for patience and for understanding as we get through this. Lord, there's a lot of stuff going on this week. Lord, just keep us focused and on track of what we're supposed to be doing. Lord, we thank you again in Jesus' holy and precious name. Amen. So Numbers chapter 6, verse 1. Ooh, here we go. So, and the Lord spoke to Moses, again, not Moses and Aaron, this is directly to Moses, right? saying, Speak to the people of Israel, and say to them, when either a man or a woman makes a special vow, the vow of the Nazarite. And Nazarite means one segregated or consummated. They are separate from everybody else. They are different. They are held to a different set of values, basically. So if they take the vow of the Nazarite to separate himself or herself to the Lord, he shall separate himself from wine and strong drink. He shall drink no vinegar made from wine or strong drink, and shall not drink any juice of grapes, or eat grapes fresh or dried. Now, what's a dried grape called? Do you know how long it took me to realize what that word was when I started studying this last week? I said, what in the world's a dried grape called? Because I thought of prunes, which are dried what? Plums, right? And the raisins are dried grapes. What's a dried cranberry called? Now, that's where the word I was looking for. Yeah. The craisins, right. But they're just dried cranberries. That's not a real word. That's the brand name. Yeah. And what do you call a dried watermelon? Trash. Trash, because it wouldn't be nasty. Yeah. All right, so fresh or dried. Verse 4, all the days of his separation he shall eat nothing that is produced by the grapevine, not even the seeds or the skins. Okay, so pretty much anything that has to do with grapes, it's out. You can't have it if you're going to take the Nazarite vow. Now, I don't remember if it says anything about this in this chapter, but later on it will. Nazarite vows usually are 30 days to 100 days long. But there was one infamous Nazarite follower that was that way his whole life. Do any of you know who that was? No, but that's a good guess. Who was the famous Old Testament Nazarite? No, close. You got the first three letters right. Samson. What was Samson's thing? How did they finally defeat him? Because he was a Nazarite. They cut his hair. And he thought he lost all his strength, not knowing God was the one giving him the strength, right? So we've seen Nazarites throughout the Bible. We have. And Samson was the first one I thought of. Now, I'll have to go back and look at Samuel and these others that you brought up. Even John the Baptist. Now, I'm pretty sure because through the line of Mary's sister Elizabeth is the mother of John the Baptist, right? So he would be of the tribe of Judah, not the tribe of Levi. Which could still mean he could be a Nazarite, because it was anyone who wanted to act like or be like the Levites. Okay. So all of the days of his vow, verse 5, of separation, no razor shall touch his head until the time is completed for which he separates himself to the Lord. He shall be holy. He shall let the locks of hair on his head grow long. No, I'm not a Nazarite. But I do like my long hair. Do what? But I love grapes, absolutely. I'm not supposed to have very many of them anymore, but anyway. I do too. So verse 6 then says, all the days that he separates himself to the Lord shall not go near a dead body. Now, most of us would say we wouldn't want to do that anyway, right? Not even his father or his mother, for brother or sister, if they die, shall make himself unclean, because his separation to God is on his head. All the days of his head he is holy to the Lord. So this brings up an interesting thing. I just said a minute ago that the Nazarite vow usually at this time was for 30 to 100 days. It didn't matter when in that situation you became defiled by a dead body, you had to start over. So if you were on a 100-day Nazarite vow, and day 99 you're at work sitting down at the desk and a guy leans over against you and dies, which happened where I worked in Texas. Yep. And that person would then be unclean, would have to go through the cleaning ritual and start all over again, day one. Kind of interesting. So, and if any man dies very suddenly beside him, and he defiles his consecrated head, then he shall shave his head on the day of his cleansing. On the 7th day he shall shave it. On the 8th day he shall bring 2 turtle doves, 2 pigeons to the priest, to the entrance of the tent of meeting. And the priest shall offer one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering, and make atonement for him, because he sinned by reason of the dead body, and he shall consecrate his head that same day. Even though it was somebody else that died, it's his fault, because now he is no longer consecrated. He's no longer separated. How I don't understand how, because somebody else died, I get blamed for it. Why is everybody always picking on me? Right. In the way this reads, later on, it's even being in the room with them. Yeah, so it's pretty serious. Verse 12, and he separated himself to the Lord for the days of his separation, and bring a male lamb a year old for a guilt offering. But the previous period shall be void, because his separation was defiled. And this is the law of the Nazarite. When the time of his separation has been completed, he shall be brought to the entrance of the tent of meeting, and he shall bring his gift to the Lord, 1 male lamb a year old without blemish for a burnt offering, and 1 ewe lamb a year old without blemish as a sin offering, and 1 ram without blemish as a peace offering. And once again, put it in context, you, because you're a Nazarite, have to bring all of these offerings because somebody else died that was you were in the room with. Okay? It was expensive to die back then. Ain't no cheaper now. 16, and a basket of unleavened bread, loaves of fine flour mixed with oil, and unleavened wafers smeared with oil, and their grain offering, and their drink offerings. And the priest shall bring them before the Lord, and offer his sin offering and his burnt offering, and he shall offer the ram as a sacrifice of peace offering to the Lord. With the basket of unleavened bread, the priest shall also offer the grain offering and its drink offering. And the Nazarite shall shave his consecrated head at the entrance of the tent meeting, and shall take the hair from his consecrated head and put it on the fire that is under the sacrifice of the peace offering. That's going to smell good. Lamb, incense, and human hair. That's like some of our barbecue. Anyway, the fire gets out of control sometimes. I'm just saying. So, and the priest shall take the shoulder of the ram when it is boiled. Now, I've never noticed that before. Did we ever see the lamb shank being boiled before? I didn't think so. I thought this was the first time. And 1 unleavened loaf out of the basket, and 1 unleavened wafer, and shall put them on the hands of the Nazarite after he has shaved the hair of his consecration. And the priest shall wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. They are a holy portion for the priest, together with the breast that is waved, and the thigh that is contributed. And after the Nazarite, after the Nazarite may drink. Yes, sir. Thank you. I couldn't get it out. We have seen it boiled before? That's okay. They boil the lambs. Okay, I just didn't remember. So that's in Exodus then. Okay, that was 2 books ago. I have lost my place. Where am I? I see 20 and 24. Oh, that is 21, not 24. Okay. This is the law of the Nazarite. But if he vows an offering to the Lord above his Nazarite vow, as he can afford, in exact accordance with the vow that he takes, then he shall do in addition to the law of the Nazarite. Wow. So, again, this is a lot of things they have to do for the passing of someone they're near, right? So this is the law of the Nazarite, but if he vows an offering, like I said, that this is the law of the Nazarite. Then it switches gears a little bit here, and it says this. It says, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron and his sons, so specifically to the Levites, saying, thus you shall bless the people of Israel, and you shall say to them, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift upon his countenance upon you and give you peace. So shall they put my name upon the people of Israel, and I will bless them. Now, a lot of people have changed some of those words, but that's a blessing that a lot of churches use. I can remember many pastors standing up on the behind the pulpit going, let the Lord's face shine upon you, right? There's actually a few songs about that as well. The words aren't coming right now, but it'll come in a minute. But this is the starting of something very interesting. The way, again, every facet of their life is being told to them how they will act, what they will do, what they'll spend their money on, because it just said if they could do above and beyond according to their means, they could. So what is it that we should take away from this? What is so important about this? Again, this is people trying to be like the Levites, trying to be like the priests, right? And then at the end, it gives something specific to the Levites. I believe in trying to compare this with the way that we do things now is a little far-fetched to even try, because, like I say, none of us are shepherds in the literal sense, even though I'm called a shepherd to the flock, right? But I don't have ox, I don't have pigeons, I don't have lambs. Well, unleavened bread just means it has no yeast in it, right? So, she said the magic word. Yeah, she said the word taco. Yep. Tacos and tamales, right? All right. So I was thinking, what can we do with this? Well, once again, we haven't even got to the laws of Moses yet, or the Mosaic law. We've seen some things that are required of each of the tribes. We've seen things about the sin offerings, the burnt offerings, the grain offering, and the drink offerings. But what we haven't seen is, except for the Ten Commandments, thou shalt nots, right? And when we get to them, it's in the next book coming, Deuteronomy, right? There's 613 laws they had to think about constantly. So again, this is just preparing them for what they had to know. It's like teaching a first grader how to get along, because by the time they get to 6th grade, they won't be able to otherwise. Right? I mean, these are the things I compare it to. Now, verse 7. And yes, we're going to do verse 7 tonight. I did mean chapter 7. I was just testing y'all. Yeah, yeah. So chapter 7 has 89 verses in it. No, you're not leaving. You're stuck in the admin office. You're staying there. Well, it brought up some good thoughts. Now, here I am stalling for a couple of minutes of time because we're not going to read all of it. Because it's a set of instructions that's repeated 12 times. Why 12 times? The 12 leaders that God called out in the last chapter, chapter 5. But I was thinking about that, 89 verses. Man, that's a lot of verses. So I started going through and going back into my childhood Bible camp days, and I remembered these facts. If you took the Bible from Genesis 1:1 to Revelation 22:21 and opened it in the middle, so that's disregarding the maps and the glossary and all that stuff, just from the verses, where would your Bible be open to? What's in the middle between Genesis and Revelation? No, good thought, but no. No, you're way off there. Got to go the other way. There you go. Pick up your yes, the book of Psalms. Now, without cheating, do you know which psalm is in the middle of the Bible? Not even close. Very close. The 118. Psalm 118. All right? So that's the middle of the Bible. Psalm 118. Now, check this out. What chapter in the Bible is the longest? We have 89 verses in chapter 7 of Numbers. So, no, but it's very close. That is correct. Psalm 119 has 176 verses. Yeah. So that's just to the right of Psalm 118. What chapter in the Bible has the least number of verses? That is a correct statement. How many verses does it have? Nope. Almost. Yes. There are 2 verses in Psalm 117 and 176 in Psalm 119. If we are living on the eternal scale in Psalm 118, then Psalm 117 is all of the time from in the beginning to where we are now. That's the little verse chapter of 117. And where we're going is the eternity that is Psalm 119 in comparison. When you start thinking about all of these things that just make you want to look more and read more and try to figure out why it's so important that we know what's in the Old Testament, then you'll start to understand Psalms, even though it's the Old Testament, is just the middle of the story. And what is most of Psalms about? The kingdom and glory of God. Right? How cool is that? That the very heart of the cross, the very heart of what we're looking at is the glory of God. Right. Yeah, that's the other part of it. And we do that as well, right? So here's chapter 7. Now follow along with this because it is good stuff. It really is good stuff. Chapter 7 talks about the offerings of the tabernacle. Okay? So this is what they were supposed to bring. Right? So here we go. So on the day when Moses had finished setting up the tabernacle and had anointed and consecrated or set it apart, with all its furnishings, and had anointed and consecrated the altar with all of its utensils, the chiefs of Israel's heads of their fathers' houses, who were the chiefs of the tribes, who were over those who were listed approached and brought their offerings before the Lord. 6 wagons, 12 oxen, a wagon for every 2 of the chiefs, and for each one an ox. They brought them before the tabernacle. Then the Lord said to Moses, accept these from them, that they may be used in the service of the tent of meeting, and give them to the Levites, to each man according to his service. Remember, the Levites were set out, you do this particular piece every time. But the head of the household for those men that were given those specific instructions gets an ox and a cart. Okay? So Moses took the wagons and the oxen and gave them to the Levites. 2 wagons and 4 oxen he gave to the sons of Gershon, according to their service, and 4 wagons and 8 oxen he gave to the sons of Merari. Okay? According to their service under the direction of Ithamar, the son of Aaron, the priest. But to the sons of Kohath he gave none, because they were charged with the service of the holy things that had to be carried on the shoulder. See, the timbers that you guys picked up, or the base for the rods, or the curtain rod that holds up the curtain, all those things out there, the altar, stuff outside, that can be put in a cart. But all of the gold stuff, especially the Ark of the Covenant, or the Ark of the Testimony, the Testament's going to say, has to be carried on the shoulder. Okay? So for Kohath, they got nothing, right? Because it had to be carried on the shoulder. And the chiefs offered offerings for the dedication of the altar on the day it was anointed, and the chiefs offered their offering before the altar. And the Lord said to Moses, they shall offer their offerings, 1 chief each day, for the dedication of the altar. How many chiefs are there? What's their names? No. That's the one we're looking for, Dan and Gad, right? So yeah, now you're getting the idea, right? I'm doing this to remind you these names are important for a reason, right? Sandwich, right. So you'll see the names again. They're here. They'll call them out. But this is what we're going to do. I'm going to read through day 1, and then I'll tell you where it just repeats itself. Okay? So here we go. So they, yeah, but I can't see a 12. Oh, my thumb's on it. That's why. So verse 12. He says, he who offered his offering the first day was Nahshon, the son of Amminadab, of the tribe of Judah. Right? So Judah has Judah, Issachar, Zebulun. And their chiefs were named Naasson, Nathaniel, Eliab. Right? So you'll see those names in here. All right. And his offering was, and then this part is what gets repeated. 1 silver plate whose weight was 130 shekels. Okay, how much do you think that is? If a shekel is 2/5 of an ounce. Yeah, we can probably say it'd be about 25, 30 pounds. Yeah. No. Thank you. So 130 shekels silver plate, 1 silver basin of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, both of them full of fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering, 1 golden dish of 10 shekels full of incense, 1 bull from the herd, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old for a burnt offering, 1 male goat for a sin offering, and for the sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs a year old. No. They're going to do this 12 days in a row.
What?
Exactly. Remember, I just said they're going to repeat this 12 times. That's where the repeat ends right there, because it says, this was the offering of Nashon, the son of Amminadab. All right, so you get it. They have to bring all this stuff to consecrate the altar again because it's been moved. How many times do you think it was moved in 40 years? A lot. We don't know. But what we know is every time they did and it was consecrated, they had to do this. Then in verse 16 it says, on the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me. Oh, I can't see. I got to get my cataracts taken out. I can't see anymore. Yeah, go right ahead. On the second day, Nathaniel, the son of Zuar, the chief of Issachar, made an offering. He offered for his offerings 1 silver plate. Stop right there. That's just a repeat. Look at the words. They're exactly the same. 130 shekels silver plate, a silver basin of 70, and then a 10 shekel gold piece, and then 5 and 5 and all these animals. Repeated all the way down to verse, I think that's 23, where it says, this was the offering of Nathaniel, the son of Zur. Then 24 says, on the third day, Eliab, the son of Helon, the chief of the people of Zebulun, his offering was, and repeat, 1 silver, okay? All the way down to verse 29. This was the offering of Eliab, the son of Helon. Yes? No, because they get the same thing every day. Number 30, on the 4th day, Eliezer, the son of Shedar, the chief of the people of Reuben, and his offering was, repeat, down to 35. This was the offering of Eliezer, the son of Shedeur. On the 5th day, Shelumiel, the son of Zerushadai, the chief of the people of Simeon, his offering was, repeat, down to verse 41. This was the offering of Shelumiel, the son of Zerushadai. Okay? 42. On the 6th day, Elisaphat, the son of Duel, the chief of the people of Gad, his offering was the same. Repeated down to, 45? Offering of Elisaph, the son of Duel. 46, on the 7th day. 48. On 46, on the 7th day, Elishama, the son of Ammihud, the chief of the people of Ephraim. And his offering was the same. Repeated again. So that's set. No, they are exactly the same. Look, you can look in my Bible, and they're color-coded in blue because they're exactly the same. Okay. Right? So this was the offering of Elishama, the son of Ammihud. And in 54, on the 8th day, Gamaliel, the son of, of Sam, chief of the people of Manasseh. Very good. Repeats the same offering, right? So here's what I want you to think of for just a second now. This, like I say, this is every time they move, and every time they sanctify the altars and the tent of meeting, right? So 2.5 million people have to be fed, 2.5 to 3 million people. These herds of animals have to be huge. These specific animals can have no blemish, which means no boo-boos, no broken bones, no... Right, they have to be treated different. I'm trying to get across the point about how many animals have to be sacrificed every time they do this. Right. Then the sin offerings and the burnt offerings just for worship. So these herds had, how many millions of animals were moved at the same time that millions of people were moved? Oh, and by the way, all of them animals have to drink. Where do they get in the desert all the water? Somebody's been reading ahead or behind. But, yeah, well, he's already struck the rock, right? It's behind us, right? So it's back there. Exactly. God fed them. Oh, manna, I don't know. Well, now we're going to get to the dead people pretty soon. Yeah. That probably would. Y'all making me hungry now talking about lamb chops. Yes, sir. They probably did. No. Right. Yes, ma'am. That's what I was afraid of when PJ was here. You won't know it for long. That's a great question. They'll they'll take it back for food for their families because they can't offer it. So her question, for those of you out there that can't hear her, which is going to say is probably nobody, but um, she she said, "What about the ones that show up with something that's blemished?" And I said, "We're going to get to that in a minute." But that's where I was going to. So this is Moses and all of the Israelites moving through the desert to get to the Promised Land. When they get to the Promised Land, they build the temple. They do away with the tent of the meeting. And at the temple, they have all these people coming in. Now, if the temple gets destroyed, it gets built a second time. All these people coming in from all over the world until 70 A.D., bringing these animals that the priest would say, that one's not good enough, here buy mine. Because when Jesus goes to the temple at Jerusalem, of the money changers who was keeping the money for the priests for selling their animals. Right. You understand? So here's how it all started and why we get to that point. Oh, I'm sure they did. Feed their family for free? Exactly, they were. He calls them that. He calls them thieves. Yeah. You're paying attention whether you know it or not. All right, so we were on the 8th day, right? Yeah, that's the 9th day. I said we just finished the 8th, or at least that's what I was trying to say. So 60, on the 9th day, Abidan, the son of Gideon, the chief of the people of Benjamin, and his offering was, same thing. This was the offering of Abidan, the son of Gideon, is 65. 66, on the 10th day, Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai, the chief of the people of Dan, his offering was the same. And this was the offering of Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai, 71. 72 says, on the 11th day, Pagiel, and I want to call him Pagel. It does fit, but that's not how you say it. It's Pagiel, I believe. The son of Achran, the chief of the people of Asher, and his offering was the same, down to 70, was that 5? 77? 77. 78 says, on the 12th day, Ahira, the son of Enan, the chief of the people of Naphtali, and his offering was the same. This was the offering of Ahida, the son of Enan, in was that 83. All right, so even though we didn't read all those verses, they are exactly the same, and you can go back and read them. We did the same thing when we talked about how things were set up between all of the different tribes. So now we're talking about the offerings that have to be done through all the tribes. And then we're getting into 84, and it changes there again. says, this was the dedication offering for the altar on the day when it was anointed. From the chiefs of Israel, 12 silver plates, 12 silver basins, 12 golden dishes, each silver plate weighing 130 shekels, and each basin 70. All the silver of the vessels weighed 2,400 shekels, according to the shekel of the sanctuary. The 12 golden dishes full of incense, weighing 10 shekels apiece, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, all the gold dishes being 120 shekels. Right? So all of the cattle for the burnt offering, 12 bulls, 12 rams, 12 male lambs, a year old, with their grain offering, and 12 male goats for a sin offering, and all the cattle and the sacrifice of the peace offerings, 24 bulls, the rams 60, the cowboys 0, the male, oh, I'm sorry, it's just that happens every time I read that. So, sorry, that's just too easy for me. Anyway, all right, so peace offerings, 24 bulls, the rams 60, the male goats 60, the male lambs a year old 60. This was the dedication offering for the altar as it was anointed. Now we get through that, yes? We're all looking outside to see what you're saying. Sorry. And when Moses went into the tent of the meeting to speak with the Lord, he heard the voice speaking to him from above the mercy seat that was on the Ark of the Testimony. Same thing we call the Ark of the Covenant, right? Same thing. What is in the Ark of the Covenant? No, that's where it is. It's in the Holy of Holies. The broken tablets of the Ten Commandments, the actual Ten Commandments, and then later on we'll find out that it also holds the rod of Aaron, and one more thing. And I cannot for the life of me think of what it is. We'll come across it later, but there's 4 items in it, okay? Plus all those ghost face and everything, it'll melt your skin. All that stuff they show in the movie. Anyway, so when Moses went to the tent, he heard the voice coming from above the mercy seat, from between the 2 cherubim, and it spoke to him. What it says is another chapter. But now we've got the Ark of the Covenant, all 3 million people, all 100 million animals move to the next spot. We set it all up. We do all these offerings. We get everything all set up. And then God speaks to him through the mercy seat. And when we covered what the mercy seat was, I said that in our life, that's been exchanged by what? If the mercy seat was where the presence of God came to sit and to talk to Moses, that's how they communicated. How do we get to communicate? The mercy seat was replaced by Christ. No, and you were here for that night because I remember your reaction to it. The golden jar holding the manna, right. She did, and I appreciate that because that's right. Carla's just giving other people an opportunity to speak up, aren't you, Carla? Good job. All right. So questions about 6 and 7. Like I said, 7 is a whole lot of repeating. That's why we can get through it today. But it's very important that we understand that. We don't have to do all of this stuff. These are all, in my account, works, what they had to do every time, right? Do I need to put y'all together? Oh. Yeah, you want to close the door for me? Oh. Thank you, Eli. All right. So then, if there's no questions or no more comments from the peanut gallery, then we'll go ahead and turn off the camera and do our personal and private prayer requests. Remember, Saturday we have two things going on. Saturday, downtown Harriman on Walden Street instead of on Main Street. We have our May Day event. We'll have two booths set up again, advertising the church and giving out gospel and things that we do. We'll also have a bake sale going on again. Somewhat of a bake sale. Yeah, we'll try. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then the other thing